But I want you to know what it feels like to keep all of this pain so concealed. Like I want out of this plane, I told my psych, you don't need to, you don't need to. I'm losing patience, living in damnation. I'm dark vibrations, singing incantations. It must sound like I'm mad, I'm never found to be glad. I'm working out of the math, the answer's always been sad, yeah. I'm a zero summation, lost in translation. Here's my resignation, from this life I'm not staying. My whole lifestyle passing fad. You'll remember the times we had, the times we had, yeah. All these pleasures my brain can't have. I want out, so please don't be sad. Give it up, cause I'm getting out. Don't be sad, you could let it out. All the shit I'm forgetting now. My whole life I've been checking out. All I said, you could send it out. Light it up, now I'm headed out. This is the end of my part now. We will be never apart, no. I'm losing patience, living in damnation. I'm dark vibrations, singing incantations. It must sound like I'm mad, I'm never found to be glad. I'm working out of the math, the answer's always been sad, yeah. Don't leave, I need you with me. Don't die, I need you alive. Don't go, don't leave me alone. You said, yeah. My entire life feels like one big mistake, and all these pills inhibit re-uptake. I can't arrive at any reason to wait. Take it one at a time, only take it one night at a time. And I don't care, cause I don't give a take. From this world so superficial and fake. In all your joys I simply cannot relate. Take it one at a time, only take it one night at a time. I say goodbye, it's getting late now. Please don't cry, oh no, I made it out. Say goodbye before I fade out. Before I fade out, before I fade out. I'm losing patience, living in damnation. I'm dark vibrations, singing incantations. It must sound like I'm mad, I'm never found to be glad. I'm working out of the math, the answer's always been sad, yeah. I'm a zero summation, lost in translation. Here's my resignation, from this life I'm not staying. My whole life's a passing fad. You'll remember the times we had, times we had, yeah. Let it out, all the shit I'm forgetting now. My whole life I've been checking out. All I said, you can send it out. Light it up, now I'm headed out.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the zoo. I'm the Rusty Panda, and I am here for you. Today we've got CDUBGUITAR, everybody.
Hello.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. We met at TwitchCon. I've seen you around the interwebs for like years before that, through Infozar's stream.
Yes.
And but then we finally got to meet at TwitchCon, and that was super exciting.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had a really good time. That karaoke was a blast.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we all got to just relax and get out of our comfort zones and totally just sing it out. So I think that was a lot of fun. So if you've never been here before, this is Wiki Wednesday, where we go down the Wikipedia rabbit hole, finding out things that the streamer likes, 15 things they like, 5 things they don't like. And then we go down and we figure, sometimes we'll talk about a topic in excess, and sometimes we'll skip right over it. Just how it works. Or we go with the flow here. Hey, Infozar. That's really weird.
Yeah. Speak of the devil.
He just appears. Oh, good. My only 2 mods. This is perfect. I expect great things from you two. So the first thing I put on the list was actually cheese curd. I try to find something that is interesting and weird. Not weird, but like weird to put on a list. I personally love cheese curds. I would put it on the list. I just wouldn't think to put it on the list. And so that's why this is on here first, is because I want to hear why cheese curds made your top 15.
Yeah, well, being from Wisconsin, it's sort of, I don't want to say it's a requirement, but it's pretty darn close. Because as you can see, we make the top top paragraph there in the wiki article. I just really like cheese curds. They're if you've I don't know if you've ever had them fresh, where they still squeak, but those are amazing.
Oh,
And
wow.
then if you get the breaded ones, every bar and restaurant in the state pretty much has deep fried cheese curds on their menu,
Mm.
um, and they vary a lot. Especially the deep fried ones. I mean, the ones you buy are the ones that aren't breaded are pretty standard, but the types of breading and how much cheese, how big they are, things like that vary a lot when you get them at the bars around Wisconsin.
Yeah, so the ones that I usually have are the ones that are fried.
Yeah.
Um, but I have had a few. I just found out about cannibal sandwiches, which is a
Yes.
Wisconsin Christmas thing. Just putting it out there. We will talk about that. That is a good note to talk about.
That's not a bad thing to talk about at all.
Absolutely. But I've had the ones that squeak. I
Yep.
had cheese curds in British Virgin Islands that was basically like and Galvus was there too. It was phenomenal. They were literally like perfect pieces of cheese and
Yeah.
just curded. Oh my gosh, they were so good.
Yeah. And they really do squeak when they're fresh. That's
Mhm.
not just a saying.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And so, yeah, if you get the ones that basically they've never really been refrigerated yet, so they don't dry out
Right.
as much, that's when they squeak.
I love that. Yeah, that is oh yeah, fresh, fried, and oh, and poutine.
Oh,
S-
yeah. Poutine.
Oh my
Poutine.
gosh. That must be delicious.
Yes. That's more of a Canadian thing, but there are some places I've had it before, um, and it's you know how can you go wrong with cheese, French fries,
And
gravy?
gravy.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
it's pretty hard to lose when you have
Yeah,
those ingredients.
absolutely. And then we get we get cheese curds from Freddy's often. I don't know if you have Freddy's out by you.
I'm not. No, I don't think so.
Um but it's basically like they'll give you a giant box of cheese curds
Yeah.
and you're just like, I don't even care about my burger. Just shut up
Yep.
and give me more.
Yeah. Well, the ones I really like, there are a couple places. There's actually an A&W nearby that they're like I don't know how they deep fry them, but they're almost like air. They're so
Ooh.
light, and you just feel like you can eat 1,000 of them.
Yes.
So
I'd like to challenge myself to eat 1,000 of them. I don't know how that would go. Probably not great.
the 1,000 cheese curd challenge.
Yeah, and it would just be for me. It would only be, hey, Davy.
Hey, Davey.
It would only be for me. I would challenge myself. There'd be no prize other than I get to eat 1,000 cheese curds.
Yeah, self-imposed challenge. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, so I was curious now. So you had cheese curds on there because they're kind of a staple where
Yeah.
you're at. Um, let's talk about InfoZar's topic real quick, and then since it's relevant to Christmas, and then we'll come back to the list because I am curious since you're in Wisconsin or you're from Wisconsin.
I'm both
Okay.
from and currently living in
Okay.
Wisconsin.
Okay. So we're gonna do Wisconsin Christmas. No, it's not gonna show up. I'm curious. No. It's not gonna show up anything about that.
No, but I wonder if you put in cannibal sandwiches, if those would show up.
Oh yeah, maybe cannibal sandwiches. It's a wrapper, cannibal sandwich. Tiger meat redirected from cannibal sandwich. Hold on.
There you go.
Wait, it's really this?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Tiger meat.
I've never heard it called tiger meat, but yeah, it's it is one of those things where there's no set recipe for it, but it basically is raw beef, raw ground beef and usually at least onions and salt and pepper. Um,
And you eat it like cookie dough?
you eat it well like a pate, yeah.
Okay.
So like on a cracker.
So then, yeah, future sandwich ideas. That's right,
Yeah,
Davey.
right, Davy. Um, so, well, one of the interesting things about that though is, it, so my stepdad actually used to eat this. I've never had it myself, um, and but over time it's gotten less and less popular because you can't find ground beef that's really safe anymore.
Right.
But if you still have like a local butcher shop or someone actually processing your meat, you're raising the cows yourself. It's theoretically possible to get some ground beef that's fairly safe, and you could do this.
So is that like tartar, right?
Yeah, similar.
Okay.
Right, Infozar. Yeah, exactly.
Because everyone who eats it is dying of salmonella. I'm trying to see. I on and the fact that you put raw egg in it too.
Right, right, right,
No.
right. Info. Right, Jack. Yes, I used to do the same thing. Like when I was a little kid and sort of still learning how to make like things that use ground beef, brown ground beef as a base. I would put the ground beef in the pan and eat a little bit before it got all cooked. But I've stopped doing that now because I don't want to die of salmonella.
Perfectly reasonable. I don't think I've ever done that. I have had raw steak, like
Sure.
like raw, like pretty much never cooked, but not ground beef. I don't think I could do that, even on a dare. I don't think I could do that. Why not spice it up and add sashimi? Let's raw everything.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Do it raw.
Oh God. Well, good night,
All right,
folks. That was great.
12 minutes. All right. Good job, people.
No, I love it. This is great. All right, so we're talking about tiger meat, and then you put another food on your list. And I always like to start with the food because I find it's fascinating when people love food so much they put it on their list.
Sure.
And so green olives.
Yes.
And what's funny is that you're not the first person to put this on their list.
Oh, really? That's
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah. So like people must really freaking love olives. I don't know what it's about.
Oh, see, Jack does. Love green olives.
So
Yeah, I love green olives. I will I'll eat them straight out of the jar. I really like them on pizza. My
okay.
favorite pizza is pepperoni and green olives. I put them in tacos and taco adjacent foodstuffs.
And inside your tacos is the beef raw or is
No.
it no? Okay.
No, that beef is cooked. That's cooked. Oh yeah, spaghetti's good. Lasagna. Like anything with that sort of spicy tomato
Oh yeah.
base. The green olive is gonna be a nice complement to it.
Interesting. Now, do you eat black olives or do you despise them?
I don't despise them, but I don't usually seek them out the same way.
Okay. See, I find that people who like green don't care for black, and the ones who
Yep.
like black don't care for green.
Don't
And
care.
that's
Yep.
the case for me because I love black olives. Like I pour them out of the can and I eat them with a fork. Like
Right.
that's
That's how I am with green olives.
right.
Like I made some taco meat yesterday, and so I had some of the leftovers today, and I just put a plate with tortilla chips, cheese, and green olives to go with the meat, and
Now,
then some sauce. That's it.
now pimento is stuff that gets stuffed into green olives, right?
Correct. Yep.
And so have you had that? Do you like that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't eat it like just randomly, but
Right.
they're in the green olives, so it's not a problem.
Interesting.
They're better than having the nut still in there, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Do you get them with the seed still in them or the nut or whatever it
No,
is?
yeah, seed I guess is probably better. No, I usually get the seeded ones unless I'm getting something special. Like um there's a there was a place next to my last job back when we all were in offices and stuff that was like an Italian kind of sandwich shop, and
Hmm.
they had a lot of different green olives they could just kind of buy, and so some of those had seeds in them. But normally, yeah, I just buy the Manzalan and whatever infos are that said there. I can't pronounce that.
Um.
Man,
Yes. Most.
manzanilla, manzanilla.
Oh yeah. Okay. Manzanilla. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are just kind of the ones you buy. You know, you get it in bulk at the grocery store.
Um, I was skimming through this and it said oldest known trees, and then it said an olive tree in Portugal. It's one of the oldest known olive trees still alive to this day, with an estimated 3,350 years, planted
Oh
approximately
my
at the
god,
beginning of the Atlantic Bronze Age.
that is crazy.
Can you imagine having an olive from a tree that's 3,350 years old?
That is so wild.
Do you
I
think it
would
would
love.
be a good olive or a bad olive because of the age of the tree?
I mean, it's got to know what it's doing, right?
That's true. That's true.
It's a it's a very excuse me, it's a very experienced olive tree. So
Yeah, this one in Spain has been estimated to date back to 314 AD,
wow, I had no idea olive trees were so old.
and it was planted when Constantine the Great was a Roman emperor.
That is wild.
That's crazy. Yeah, I had no idea that they could last so long.
Yeah, me either.
Look at these trees. This is crazy. Could you imagine trying to harvest that?
No.
Man, you'd be up on a ladder for just days. You planted that tree when you were 28? Yeah, okay. In
Oh yeah,
what was it? 300
$3,500 ago.
yeah, 314 AD. That was you
Yeah, that was him.
when he was 28.
Yeah,
It's not even when he was born.
no, I was there. I was 29.
Oh, okay, got
So.
it. Got it. Um and then how do you feel about olive oil? Do you like the extra virgin? Do you use vegetable oil? Do you use sunflower seed
You
oil?
know what? I'm not an oil snob,
Mhm.
so I just kind of use whatever's there.
Okay.
There are some specific things that I like to use olive oil on, but I don't know. I honestly don't know the difference between extra virgin and virgin and all that.
Yeah, I don't know either. I was just
Um,
curious if you had a preference.
no, uh,
What about coconut oil?
not a fan.
Yeah, neither am I.
I don't like coconuts.
Same with me. The only coconut I like is the coconut jelly bean. I
Hmm.
think that's delightful because it tastes like a pina colada.
Oh, okay.
But other than
Yeah,
that,
I
no
don't even
coconut.
like pina coladas normally.
Oh, so you don't get caught in the rain?
I do not.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We're learning a lot about you today.
Right?
Okay, yeah, so the table olives. So these are the ones you go for here?
Yep, those would be the ones I go for.
Okay. And yeah, these guys are rough. These guys are just salt central.
Yeah.
Man, I remember biting into one of those and then your face just has to like retreat. Like it's I could taste it right now. It's so salty. And
Yeah.
I love salty olives, but that is just cruel. Fermenting. Let's see if there's any pretty pictures. Olive wood. So it's very hard and tough and prized for its durability and high combustion temperature and interesting
Interesting.
grain patterns. Look at that. Those are
Oh
nicely
wow,
done.
those are very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Those are very cool.
Olive trees are cool.
I guess so.
I mean, we just thought about the olive, but there's like olive trees that are just
Trader
going
Joe
for it.
sells olive wood bowls, huh?
Oh. Infozar with the I don't even need Wikipedia. Hey
Right?
Infozar.
Right.
Instead of Alexa. Hey
Yes.
Infozar.
Hey, Infozar.
All right, cool. So you put on the dislikes now mushrooms.
Yes.
So is it a texture issue? Is it
Yeah,
flavor?
I think it's a combination of the texture and the flavor. I mean, the texture is not that much different than an olive, so I don't think it's total texture, but it doesn't have that uh, saltiness, I guess. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I just never have gotten into them. Like, I don't know. I think I think it is because I like olives so much. Um, I want them to taste like an olive, and they don't.
Maybe put them in some olive oil, sprinkle some
Maybe
olives with them, cook them with
salt them
olives.
up, salt them up. Yeah, like turn them into an olive.
Exactly. Yeah, that would be it.
That would be the way to do it. But no, never liked them. My family we would have the argument about putting them on pizzas and things like that, and I'd always want none. Um, don't really don't really like them in dishes. But I- I'm not as bad as I was when I was younger. Like
Mm,
when I was younger, I just didn't want anything to do with them, and now I'll at least try them.
yeah.
But
Do
but
you
they're definitely not my thing.
the one of the best mushrooms I ever had was in a dish called chicken pietrosa. My family owned a restaurant back in Jersey, and we had one of my cousins came up with this dish, and it's chicken like slammed to the ground. You know what I mean, like the thin chicken cutlets, and it has a special sauce that's like bacon and what's the word I'm looking for? Syrup, like a maple syrup, demi
Okay.
glaze, and it has just slivers of mushrooms that you don't taste mushroom. You mainly taste the sauce that's going in it,
Right. Yep.
and then the scallions. And oh my
Yep.
god, I used to get extra sauce. I mean, like I could have just funneled that like right into my mouth, and so that's what made me get into liking mushrooms right there.
Yeah, and like that kind of I'd probably like that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that sounds like bacon and sugar and yeah,
Yeah,
that would be good.
yeah.
So that kind of stuff I would definitely try and probably like. It's just like, people get a mushroom burger or mushroom and Swiss burgers and
Yeah. Too many mushrooms.
yeesh. Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think now the do you have morel hunting up by you?
We do, yes. Some of my family is big into it. A lot of my like classmates growing up and stuff. Yeah.
This right here. Um morel. There we are. So, the real name is it's either Morchella or Morchella.
Oh, okay.
But it's a sac fungi. Delicious.
So I've heard.
Honeycomb appearance due to the networks of ridges, um, and blah 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 blah. I try not to get into the nitty gritty, but oh, good. It looks like meat. Looks like freaking uncooked meat right there.
It looks like a brain.
It does look like a brain.
Like who wants to eat a brain?
I don't
Hmm.
know. I don't know.
Yeah, one of my cousins loves them and goes out every year looking for them. So
Yeah, people come
more
back
power
with
to him.
what do they call them? Something gold.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
And Bozar, you just keep throwing us off track here. What is chicken of the woods? Do you know what that is? Have you heard of that C-Dub guitar?
I have not.
All right. This is the last one that I'm entertaining for you. Okay. So this is chicken
Of
of the
the
woods.
woods. Oh, it's another type. I see. No, I haven't heard of that one.
I've seen this one before where it comes off of the trees.
Okay.
It's very pretty.
Hey, Steamy.
Hi, Steamy. Interesting.
Oh,
I,
sure. Yeah, I've seen that before. Yeah, where they
mm-hmm.
grow out of the tree like that.
Yeah. Okay. So green olives and mushrooms and um raw beef.
And raw beef. Oh my.
And cheese curds, of course.
Of course.
Of course, cheese curds. Um, so we're gonna start. I kind of go all over, if you can tell. So we're gonna start with Twitch because I'm interested to see how you got here, what you like about it, what you dislike about it, and how you feel about Twitch moving forward.
Sure. Wow. Not a not an open-ended question there at all. Um, so I started like a lot of folks, I think, when the pandemic hit. Um, I'd been playing guitar for a while, but usually I would play like maybe 2 or 3 shows out a year, so very very limited. Um, and when the pandemic hit, obviously those 2 or 3 shows got canceled. And originally, I just started streaming, thinking I would play on Facebook and maybe some of my friends and family would watch. But another friend of mine who has a dueling piano business started streaming, and he was using Restream to stream to multiple things. So he was streaming to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And so I'm like, well, why not try that? So um, well, actually, I take that back. I was skeptical, but Jamie 8888, who just popped in here, um, we were on a different Discord and we're talking about it one day, and she's like, "Well, you should do that too, then." And I'm like, "Well, I've never heard of music on Twitch, and I don't. I guess I'll give it a try." So I I I created a channel and added it to my Restream um, profile, and but didn't do anything else. Like I had nothing. I think I maybe had a like, "Hi, my name is CDub," on my about. Um, didn't know anything about getting affiliate or
Right.
anything like that. But Twitch was the one spot where people randomly came in, people I'd never met before, and they'd say hi and they liked hanging out, and I'm like, oh well, this is kind of cool. I should I should see what else, um, what other musicians are out here. And so I started looking at the music category, and I found all these amazing people. Um, and so I decided, like, well, I'm going to focus um, my efforts on Twitch because there's this cool community here. I can learn a lot. I can meet some new people, and that's what really brought me here was the community piece of it, and the streamer community piece. Aside from just the communities of people that watch, but everyone was always so nice when I'd talk to them or show up and say hi in their chats, and it just kept growing from there. Um, and so that got through really 2022, and then towards the middle of 22, my dad passed away unexpectedly, and so that kind of threw a wrench in a lot of things for me. Well, actually, a number of things happened, but so since sort of Memorial Day weekend of 2022, um, I've been streaming sort of less, but I still really enjoy it. And as far as my future plans, I plan to, keep on streaming. I'm starting to get more comfortable with my own original music. So I've written 4 or 5 songs now.
That's awesome.
Um, and the one we were talking about earlier, the Christmas collab,
Mm-hmm.
the Collabamajig, that one just came out on Friday. So that's the first time I've ever had a published song that I participated in any way, shape, or form. So I was pretty excited about that. And then I'm working with Wonder Truly, which I don't know if you know her.
Mm-hmm.
To She's producing my first original, so I'm
Yay.
hoping that will be out either probably not by the end of the month at this point, but early 24.
That's a good way to start off 24.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to hear about your father, of
Well, thank
course.
you. Yes.
But I am glad that you are continuing to stream,
Yeah.
and it's a it's awesome to hear too that you're working with Wonder Truly. That's incredible. Congratulations.
Yeah. No, it was I got to meet not this year's TwitchCon, but last year's TwitchCon on the way home. Um, Heather and I got stranded in Phoenix for 24 hours because of flight delays, and it turns out that's where Wonder lives. So I literally just sent out a tweet and said, "Hey, do I know any streamers in Phoenix?" And she was like, "Yeah, me." So so we got to have lunch together and hang out a little bit. So when I heard she was doing producing her own as a job now, I was excited to team up with her.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah,
It's great how the networking works with Twitch. You know what I
and
mean?
that's right. That's what I was going to say. That's why I love Twitch. That's what I love about Twitch is I've met so many amazing people that I never would have been exposed to if I hadn't hadn't dove in there. So it's really cool.
Yeah. And it's true about everybody starting around the pandemic. It's interesting because I started streaming in 2018,
Okay,
but I started on Mixer.
sure.
And then Mixer was like, "Screw you, we're going down the drain." And so everybody's scrambling to get onto Twitch, this not new platform, but new for us platform.
Hmm.
We had everything set up. We had all the followers that we needed, and now we had to start over with affiliate and all that other stuff. But
Right,
the community that came with Mixer as like this solidarity, like we march into Twitch with our heads
right.
up and
Yes. No, I've heard that from a number of folks that I met along the way that they came in that same time frame,
Mhm.
and that's been very consistent among the folks that came from Mixer. They're like, oh yeah, we were all friends over there, and we all came over here and stayed friends,
Yep.
which I think it's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Um yeah, it's and Twitch is just so it surprises me every day.
Yeah,
The music community all of a sudden is like bursting because Twitch used to say on their app thing that says a place for gamers and esports, and now I
right.
don't I don't think it says that anymore.
No, I don't think they do either.
So they're admitting that music is an up and coming thing, along with talk shows and podcasts. I mean, that's
Yes,
like third on the list, and then not third, because I would say art is third.
right.
Art as an overarching anything you do, craft makers and crafting and all of that stuff, just art. And then IRL streams, those are another huge ones as well.
Yeah, yeah. The IRL and sort of the I don't know what you'd call them, but sort of the random things too, like hey, watch me print something on my 3D printer, or
Hmm.
I'm gonna bake.
Right, and
I love that stuff too.
you put it under just chatting sometimes, and
Yeah,
you're just like.
sometimes.
And so I asked a question at TwitchCon where I said to the group of people, I said, I'm a mod for 4 magicians, and none of them have a place to go as far
Right?
as their category. So what do
Yes.
they do? Well, they go under just chatting. Well, that's not good enough.
Right.
And they said, well, then you need to continue putting in more in your tags. Everything you can think of needs to go in those tags. And
Okay.
so I'm starting to get a little better with them, but like I don't think that's fair. I think you
I
should be
don't
able to
either. I think
subpoena it.
right. Well, it wouldn't even have to be like there should be another category that's outside of just chatting, where it's like I don't know, performers, or I don't know what what it would be, but something that would capture sort of the magicians and some of the other sort of unique things that go on.
Yeah.
Um,
We should
yeah,
talk to them, C Dub.
I got to meet Crazy Asian at TwitchCon,
Mm-hmm.
and we talked a little bit about that too.
Yeah, yeah. The panel that we were on, me, Crazy Asian, and Gibson, Lens, we were on that panel for Magic Twitch, and
Yeah,
it was really cool to be able to present like that. But then it was also weird, like being in person and talking to people.
right? I know. Dude, I know. Well, and then what I realized after the fact is I'm so bad because I am sort of I'm one of those weird sort of introverted extroverts
Hmm.
where in some situations I'm very extroverted, but in others I'm sort of an introvert. And those like real life, many people around you, I'm not really good at
Hmm.
sometimes, and I get anxious. And what I was realizing though after the fact is I got to be better about getting pictures with all the cool people I saw. Because the only pictures I'm in are the ones where the other person's like, "Hey, let's take a picture." So Crazy Asian was really good
Hmm.
about he wanted to take pictures with everybody, and he did it like a card trick, and I signed a card for him. Um, but a lot of folks who have all these pictures of time they were hanging out with other streamers, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I should do that instead of just standing there."
Instead
Huh.
of just existing, I should capture the
I
existings.
should capture the moment.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes. We literally use Magician, which is an old SNES game that no one plays anymore. Yep.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like they have a category for that, but they can't have a category for actual people who want to show magic. Come on.
Right. What was the last thing I was gonna say to you? Yeah, we should go and petition them. You and I should go up there. I don't know where up is. We should go up there, and we
Well,
should tell them.
well, the CEO did a jam session on the music stage at the end of the conference.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that would have been the time,
Yeah,
but he's probably the one to talk to, and I bet some of my music friends who were at that probably have an in with him. So
that'd be great. That'd be great. Okay.
I'll see what I can do. No
Yeah.
promises, though.
There you go. We're doing it for the magicians. If nothing
Right?
else, we're doing it for the magicians. Because they deserve their own category, in my opinion.
They do.
Um,
So the only other one thing I did want to say, just if I can nerd out for a second,
please do.
um, but one of the other reasons I like Twitch so much is they legit have uh, an edge in the live streaming technology.
Hmm.
Like their latency is still a lot better than YouTube or Facebook or I don't know. Actually, Kick, the new one, is probably about the same
Hmm.
because Kick actually pays Amazon for the same service.
Right.
So I think that's another reason Twitch has had so much staying power is because you can, even though there's always going to be some delay, you can really interact with your chat, and that's become so important. And it's a really important part of, especially all of the streamers that I enjoy going to see. That's a big component of what they do,
Yeah.
and there's not a lot of other platforms where you can do that. I think that and the raids are the two biggest things Twitch has going for them right now.
Yeah. Yeah. The raids are great to be able to pass along the love and be able to find new exposure to other
Right?
people.
Yeah, and it's so much better. Like, don't get me wrong, shout outs are awesome. And I especially when I was first starting out, getting a shout out and having some folks follow you, that's always great. But to be able to meet someone or find someone on a channel that you like and then be able to take, not only tell your community, hey, I found this cool person, but actually take them there and let them see it is so cool and unique really
Hmm.
within the space. So
Yeah. One of my friends who's a very new getting into streaming, not affiliate yet or anything. I tell him raid. You have two people in your chat, you have one person in your chat, whatever. Raid, because
right,
not only are you bringing people over who you think is cool, you're getting exposure from being one to say, "Hey, I like your content enough to bring my
right,
people over or myself over." And
exactly.
you mostly will get recognized for saying, "Hey, thanks so much for thinking of me."
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
how the it all works.
Absolutely. And that's it goes back to that whole community. The streamer community is, at least what I've run across to, is so welcoming, and yeah, they we all feed off of that.
Mm-hmm.
When I get a raid from someone who I don't know, I always, like, I talk them up. I go check out their page. I follow them right away if I, like I said, if it's someone I don't know. Um, and I'll legit go try to check them out the next time I see they go live.
Yeah.
And people did that for me, and I really appreciate that. So I I think the whole concept of having a community within sort of the streamers, that are sort of like minded. It doesn't have to even be all music streamers, obviously. Like, the magicians certainly fit into that as well. Um, but just the whole idea of, yes, I'm the one streaming, but we're a community, and so we're going to do all this together. We're going to go
Right.
we're going to go check out Davey and see what he's doing.
Right. Yeah. Well, that was awesome. That was a great conversation. Usually it's a little rocky to talk about Twitch if some people have a really negative view. And
Yeah.
so,
Well, I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong, they're not perfect, but
right.
I try to focus on the positive, I
Absolutely. And I think you did great. I think you could have been a spokesperson for Twitch just now. Talk to them about that too. Send it up the
Right?
ladder.
Yes.
All right. Let's move on to the next topic. We're going to talk about MTV Unplugged.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna get into the music, huh?
Because this made me so happy to see this on your list, along with something else that we're gonna bring up in a minute. Oh my god, stupid mouse. Okay.
Hey, that was pretty good. You made it almost 45 minutes.
Yeah, I know. I hate this mouse. Okay, so MTV Unplugged. Why did it make your list?
So, I mean, as we're gonna get to, I have a few music things on my list, but one of the coolest things I ever saw, musically, at least on television, that wasn't a thing I got to go to live, was Alice in Chains' MTV Unplugged concert. And their ability to take their hard rock, blow your eardrums out music and play it unplugged and have it sound so good was just a little mind blowing to me. And so I really got into it. Really got me into that. I don't know if you want to call it like a subgenre of like covers and um, songs by hard rock bands that are a little softer or have like an acoustic guitar feel to them. And it really has carried the reason I put it on here partially was that's carried on to my own music now, because that's what I play. Basically, I have an acoustic guitar, but most of a lot of my song list is 90s rock music. So I'm sort of doing MTV Unplugged, when I stream. And so it's just been something that's been really cool.
That's a great way to describe what musicians do and when they're trying to do covers. Especially when we want to do covers of things like if I'm on guitar and I'm trying to do a piano song.
Right.
Or if I'm on piano and it's clearly a guitar song. And doing that back and forth and converting that. People who do live loops.
Yes.
Transforming songs to make them their own, but they're still the, if you do a really slow song, let's talk about like Let's Get It On Barry White, right? But
Right,
you go
right.
ahead and you take that and you add electronics to it, and then you loop it a whole bunch of times, and then you add some drums and things like that. You've transformed the song entirely, but you still have Let's Get It On by Barry White. Like
Exactly. Or you take a song like Smells Like Teen Spirit, and some of the covers where they've slowed it way down, and just made it a very it's almost soulful.
right.
Who is a woman who did the cover? I can't think of her name now.
What was the name? Which one was it?
It Smells Like Teen Spirit. A woman did a cover of that. Hey.
Nirvana's Unplugged. Hold on. Um, MTV in New York. The show is directed by Beth McCartney.
Yeah, it wasn't on there unplugged. She just
Oh,
did
okay.
it. She did a was it Tori Amos maybe?
That sounds like something.
But anyways, this much slower piano, like you were saying. So
Mm-hmm.
take this grunge rock guitar, you know, anthem style song and turn it into a piano song. And she slowed it way down, and it just sounded so cool.
Yeah, it
So
sounds
that
like something Tori Amos would do.
I just really like that sort of taking a work you know really well and sort of transforming it into something else.
Yeah, and it's a good vibe too when you have something that's maybe a little more hardcore and then you can make it appeal to all audiences.
Right. Well, and it really kind of shows that the song itself is good. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
a gimmick or you know, oh, that's just good because it's Nirvana or it's the way it sounds is what makes it good. It's no, if you could take a song, you know, if you could turn "Let's Get It On" into a layered loop, you know, like you said, that means it's a good song.
Right.
You know, there's good bones there that you're building
Right.
off of.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. So did you, I mean, this started in 1989. Did you start from the core or did you,
Yes.
yes?
Yeah. So I
Okay.
don't know if I saw. I'm not sure what the first couple years was, but I saw Clapton, um,
Oh, yeah, here.
10,000 Maniacs.
Yep, yep, yeah. I'll bring it up here. So, yeah, Mariah
Um,
Carey, Rod Stewart, 10,000 Maniacs, Tony Bennett, Page and Plants,
Page and Plant. Yep. Nirvana,
Nirvana,
Alice
Alice
in
in
Chains.
Chains,
So that's
Shakira.
kind of where. So after Alice in Chains, oh, Alicia Keys. Yep.
Hmm. And then Ricky Martin.
I don't think I ever saw Ricky Martin. Um, and then yeah, there was. So there's also been a later run. Oh, it talks about it right there at the bottom. A limited run reboot. I
Hmm.
haven't really seen any of those, um, but I have seen a version of a Corn song, not all of it, but just the one song on MTV Unplugged. So I don't know if that was part of that newer one or what, but
Maybe. So it says that it's gone till present. So in 2020, MTV launched Unplugged at Home. The series featured 14 online episodes.
oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I recorded British band Bastille recorded one, and then 2022 21. Oh, I have to watch
Oh
that.
wow, I have to check that one out.
Yeah, it's like, oh, 21. They were amazing in
Oh, and
concert.
I have seen some of the Tony Bennett and Lady Gaga one,
Okay.
but I've
Yeah.
seen some of their performances together because
Yeah.
those were pretty amazing too.
Yeah, they did a great job with that. They were nominated for some award. They didn't win it, but they were nominated for some award. That's how good it was.
Yeah, I
Um,
believe it.
but you like 21 Pilots, yeah?
Yeah, I don't know a ton of their stuff, but what I know I like.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Their concert is like my top 5 concerts I've ever been to.
Oh,
Two
that's cool.
two guys, and the concert was just like out of this world.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about concerts and bands and stuff. Let's talk about Foo Fighters.
Yeah. So Foo Fighters are my favorite band, probably of all time. Um, I I like to joke that Dave Grohl's my spirit animal.
Okay.
I just really dig their music. It's not anything fancy. It's pretty no frills. Um, you know, I don't want to say completely formulaic, but they'll even say it was pretty. You know, they know what they do. You
Right.
know, they have uh, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, but especially their early stuff when right after they right after Nirvana and Cobain died, just amazing stuff that Dave Grohl did, and I sort of like imagine in an alternate universe where I went all in with music at a younger age and really tried to do something with it. This would be my goal, to be the Foo Fighters or be in the Foo Fighters.
Right.
Um, so that's why I put them on there. I've only seen them. I've only actually been able to see them live once, which is kind of disappointing in uh, my own failing. Um, but it was a great show. They put on, uh, you know, 2.5 hours of just pure energy rock. Um, they loved it. You could see they were having fun, which is
Yeah.
always good.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you see the most recent video of the girl? I think her name is Tandy, or hold on, I gotta think of what her name was. But anyway, she was from South Africa, and she was up against Dave Grohl for best drummer. Like they went back and forth in a drum thing.
yes, yes,
And then she came on stage for one of the concerts and actually
yes.
performed. Yes, that was one of the coolest videos I've ever seen. He was so elated and so kind and so all
Right.
of that. And you're just like, man, Dave Grohl is the best.
Well, and so I had I wouldn't say really a friend, but an acquaintance of mine got to meet Dave Grohl once, and said he was just like that. He's just that's that was his personality then too.
Yeah.
Just nice guy. Um, someone you'd just strike up a conversation with at a bar or a restaurant or something, and he'd just talk to you and hang out for a while.
Yeah, he
And
looks genuinely interested in
yeah,
like.
yeah, he and I'm sure there is some, because how can you be that famous and not? But he doesn't come across as pretentious at all.
I agree.
Like full of himself. He's just like, I'm a guy who gets paid to make music for a living, and I'm lucky as hell.
So I was looking at this background information over to the right, and it says they're also known as the Holy Shits, the DGs, and the Churnups. Did you know about this?
I did not know about that.
Okay,
I knew
so
about. I feel like I
um,
maybe knew about the Gigi's one.
2014, Foo Fighters performed a secret show as the Holy Shits in an abandoned train tunnel. And then the DGs, Foo Fighters Bee Gees tribute band, cruises Hail Satan, from the original 2021. So there's the DGs.
Yes, I feel like I've heard of that one. Yeah,
And then I don't know about the Churnups. They don't have
I don't
anything
know
there.
anything about the Churnups either.
Yeah. But interesting. And then spin off the fire theft. So I guess that's other people who are Sunny Day Real Estate also plays for Foo Fighters. Yeah.
Yeah. So Nate and Pat Schmier have both had side projects. I know.
Okay. Yeah. 15 Grammy Awards, including Best Rock Album 5 times,
Yep.
making them the most successful rock acts in the Grammy history. In 2021, the band was announced as recipients as the first ever global icon. In the 2021 MTV Video Music Awards, they were inducted to the Hall of Fame in 2021, their first year of eligibility.
Yep.
Good for them.
Yeah, they're rocking it. And I was so sad when Taylor Hawkins died, their drummer.
Yeah.
That was probably the first time a celebrity death like felt personal to me,
Mm-hmm.
or like personally affected me. It was just really sad.
Yeah. And that was, is he the son of, okay, I'm trying to remember. There was a band who lost their drummer, and this might be it. And he was the son of someone, like he was a young guy. Is this him?
I don't think
No,
so.
1972. There was a band that had a drummer that spontaneously just died. They were a big rock group. I'll think of it
Oh,
and then I'll let you know. But it's good to see them bounce back
yes,
from something that tragic. And
yes,
that's all I was trying to get at.
yeah. It's not easy.
Mm-mm.
Well, and then you think about what Dave Grohl's gone through. His first band became the biggest band in the world for a short time in Nirvana, and the front man died.
Right.
Well, then he transitions and becomes the front man for a band that's one of the biggest bands in the world, and the drummer dies.
Right.
So
Yeah,
Hopefully, he
yeah,
doesn't think he's cursed.
yeah. Aw, he's such.
But no, Taylor. So Taylor Hawkins was the drummer on Alanis Morissette's tour after Jagged Little Pill came out, and what happened was uh, So the first album of the Foo Fighters, Dave Grohl did everything. He wrote everything. He played all the instruments. He was just a one man band. And then when it started getting traction, he's like, "Oh, I'm going to need a band to tour if I'm going to play these songs live." And so he assembled a band. And so when they wrote the second album, um, the idea was the band would then record the instruments that they were going to play live. But Dave didn't like the drums that the guy was doing. And so he re recorded them all without telling him. And that sort of, for whatever reason, that just sort of fractured the relationship there and he left.
Yeah, some reason.
Some odd reason the drummer didn't like that. Um, and so he left and so they got Taylor and Taylor was great. He was awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, joined as the guitarist in 1999. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, 2006. It's funny to see their transformations.
Right?
Foo Fighters in 2009. Yeah, they just put on an amazing show.
They really do.
How did you like their new album?
Um, it sounded like a Foo Fighters album.
Okay.
You know, I do feel like, and I think this happens a lot to bands as they get older. That it's not that any of the songs are bad at that point, but if I'm gonna listen to Foo Fighters, I'm probably gonna go gravitate back towards the ones that I heard first, just because I like those songs so much.
That makes sense.
So I've most of the Foo Fighters that's in like my main Spotify playlist is all stuff from their first, probably up until like Echoes, Silence, Patience, and Grace,
Yeah.
and then maybe just a song or two from some of the other ones.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that makes sense. Like even with 21 Pilots, like I really like their core and how they were brought up, and the new songs they sound like 21 Pilots. I still enjoy here one and here and there, but
Right.
I'm gonna gravitate towards the older ones because that was what I grew into, and that's why I fell in love with them.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
That's 100%.
But yeah, so you saw them once, and where was that? Where did they play?
That was in Madison, Wisconsin,
Okay.
at the Kohl Center, which is the college basketball hockey arena.
Okay.
Um, and what was good about that is that the venue has terrible acoustics, but they had good sound people, so they were able to get a decent sound out there.
Nice.
And yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I wish I could have seen them more, but just wasn't meant to be early on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, are they still touring, or I mean, they got a new
They
album?
are, yeah,
So
they are. I think they're currently the closest is like in Chicago, I want to say, or maybe Minneapolis.
okay. Yeah. A lot of bands they'll like to come to St. Louis, but not Kansas City, and you're
Right.
just like, come on.
Yeah,
It's 4
a lot of
hours difference, man.
a lot of a lot of big acts. They'll do the same. They'll hit Chicago and they'll hit the Twin Cities in Minnesota, but they'll skip Wisconsin altogether,
Yep.
or maybe play Milwaukee,
Yep.
which is for where I'm at in the state, Milwaukee versus Chicago is not really that much difference. So
Okay. Yeah. St. Louis to Kansas City is 4 hours. And
okay,
so, like, I don't mind drive and I'm gonna stop talking about 21 Pilots here after this, but in order to go see them, they were only playing in St. Louis, so
right,
I had to drive the 4 hours, stay at my friend's house, go see them, and then drive home.
right. It's like a whole thing, right?
It's a
Like
whole
we're going
thing.
on Saturday. Heather and I are going to Chicago to see a show, but it's the same thing. We have to get a hotel room, and it's
Mhm.
it's like 3 hour drive, and yeah, so
Yeah.
it's not just something you can do on a whim,
Right. Yeah.
which is too bad. But
You know Death Cab for Cutie?
I do know Death Cab for
They
Cutie.
came through, and they're coming through, and they're going with the Postal Service. They're going to be touring with
Oh,
them.
nice.
So, but
I've heard of the Postal Service. I don't know if I know any of their stuff.
it's older stuff. Like they don't have any new stuff. So if you knew their stuff, that was their stuff, and there's no more stuff.
Okay. I've just heard the name. I don't know if
Yeah.
I've heard any songs of theirs, but
All right. So segue.
yeah.
What's bro country?
So I don't know if this is actually right, but it was the closest I could come to. What I like almost every kind of music.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like hip hop. I listen to some like classical stuff. I do all different kinds of rock genres. I like, even if I don't like all the pop music, I appreciate like Taylor Swift and Beyonce and like all those huge artists, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing I cannot abide is the country songs that sound like they could be some sort of really soft version of alternative rock, but the singer is like all twangy and talking about hunting gators, and I don't know. It's not my thing.
Yeah, they put Florida Georgia Line on there.
Yeah, there you go. That would be a good example.
Of bro country.
It's just not my idea of a good time.
Yeah, the genre began to gather steam in the early 2010s. The song that brought the movement to attention of music journalists was 2012 Florida Georgia Line song Cruise.
Yep.
We may look back on Cruise as a turning point, the moment when the balance of power tipped from an older generation of male country stars to the bros. This is killing me.
It is.
So,
Yes.
this is killing me. Okay, so then we've got Luke Bryan's Crash My Party, Florida Georgia Line, Here's a Good Time, Blake Shelton's Based on a True
Blake
Story.
Shelton. Yep. Yeah, it's all that stuff. It's like oh, really steamy. I would love to hear it.
The comedian Bo Burnham's. Oh, yes, he does. He goes, Cold Jeans, Blue Bear, Wait, I didn't mean that. And so he does this whole thing about blue jeans and cold beer and being a bro. It's fantastic.
Yes, so yeah, that guy gets me, I feel.
Yeah. Bo Burnham is phenomenal. If you've never watched any of his stuff, if you've never watched Inside, I suggest it. Okay, moving along to bro country. So is it just the concept of bro country, or is it like literally the sound?
I think it's a combination of it. It's definitely the twang. It's the twang in the vocals and in the guitar. You can't. Oh yeah, I do know Chicken Fried. Actually, that's one of the only country songs I have on my list, baby. But it's just that, like, you hear the start of a song and you think, oh, this could be something I'm interested in, and then the singer starts. I can't even do it right now, but he just starts singing with such a twang.
Mm-hmm.
And then the guitar, instead of a nice tight solo, there's like this all this extra bends and fills and just making it sound like a slide guitar. And
Yeah.
like, I like that. I actually like some old country that uses that stuff. I just don't. I guess it's the fusion, trying to fuse that with crunchy guitar, and yeah, it just doesn't work.
How can something that is so popular be
Yes.
so unauthentic?
That's it, Steamy. It comes across as inauthentic. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It says in 2014, female duo Maddie and Tay released their debut single, Girl in a Country Song, which criticized the reference many bro country songs, particularly the roles of women in such songs. In the same month, country singer Maggie Rose released Girl in Your Truck Song. In the song, she praises Grow Country songs, saying she actually wants to be the girl in her songs.
Alrighty then.
um, well, Maggie Rose needs to figure her shit out, I
I
guess,
guess
because
so. But that is the other part of it. Like I don't like um a lot of times I don't like the message either, you know.
right,
Not
yeah,
all of it, but definitely some of it. The more bro shit.
yeah, for real. Let's it's the fraternity feel.
Right. Yeah.
Let's go get
The
drunk and
dude
screw
bro.
bitches. Like that's
Yeah.
the feel.
Yeah, the whole dude bro concept. I hate
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yep, yep. Bro. No, bro, you bro. Okay. That's why it was cracking me up, because just the word bro. You're my bro, bro. I'm
Bro.
not your bro, bro. You're my bro, bro.
You're my bro.
All right, so let's take a hard turn. I want this one when you added actual. I had to know why. This was an added addition, but I need to know why you added TiVo on here.
Oh, okay. So because I was an early adopter
Mm-hmm.
and I loved it, it's still got the best um interface.
It still
Like,
exists?
yeah, it still exists.
Oh my gosh.
I still have one. I don't use it anymore because I use an Apple TV now.
Right.
But I still have one that, in theory, I could plug in. But there were a couple things. The first was they had keyword search. They called wish lists.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of saying I want to record Saturday Night Live every time it comes on, you can put in a keyword for like um, maybe one of the performers, and not only would you get Saturday Night Live because they're listed in the cast, but if they were also on like David Letterman that week, it would also automatically record that.
That's so cool.
And no one to my knowledge has replicated that, but it was so cool. Like you could put in um like I'm a big fan of Star Wars. You could put in Star Wars and you could either have it. The other thing, because at the time, especially when it was early on, storage was at such a premium, you could just keep that and it wouldn't actually record all the shows, but anytime you wanted to go in there, it would show you would what would hit, and you could pick the ones you wanted to record, for example.
Oh.
um, or you could tell it, hey, record everything but only keep the last two that the two most recent ones you did or
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that was a big part of it. The other part was their user interface was really tight. And one of my biggest complaints about streaming shows is the the rewind, fast forward, pause interfaces suck
Mm-hmm.
ass.
Yeah.
Like you can't. Like I'm a huge sports person. I love watching live sports. Right, that's probably the most TV I watch, to be honest. Um, and you want to be able to go back like 20 seconds to see something you missed and then just catch up live, and it takes like 5 minutes to go back 30 seconds. It's so annoying.
Oh my god.
And TiVo, it was just they just had a button that just went back. I think it was 30 seconds, and then another button to catch up to live. You know,
That's interesting. Wait, what did Steamy write? I can't. I have to scroll up a second. I had a friend of mine remove all my keywords and replace the actor Jamal White. For weeks, TiVo thought I wanted to watch shows with Urkel 24/7.
that's funny. Well, so that's the other thing it did. As hard drives got bigger and space wasn't as much of a problem, you could give shows thumbs ups and thumbs down, and it would randomly record stuff for you
Oh,
based on what it thinks you like. So if you had space available, it would say, "Oh, hey, I recorded this movie for you because, Jamal White's in it, and you seem to like him a lot."
yeah.
So yeah,
It's
that's why I think I can talk about this now. I actually did some beta testing for them
okay.
at various points early on in their existence, and I also love the technology behind it. Like I'm a huge technology guy.
Mhm.
That's my job. I'm in IT, but I also just love it. And this whole idea of taking a show and recording it onto a hard drive was just sort of mind blowing at the time. Like now we take so much for granted, that of course shows are digitized and you can watch whatever you want, and um, you can start a you can, like, even the concept of starting a show while it's being recorded was unheard of. VCRs, you couldn't do that.
Right.
If you're if you're taping The Simpsons, you can't start watching that episode. You got to wait till it's done and then rewind it and then watch it. So this idea that you could just pop into a show whenever you want if it's being recorded was pretty mind blowing. And '99 when they started.
Now, how do you think that TiVo is going to? It's like the BlackBerry, right? TiVo is kind of like the
Yeah.
BlackBerry of recording. So I'm curious. Now that cable is dying, I mean, it is dying because of all of the premium services you get. You have to pay for Peacock. You have to pay for this. You have to pay for that. But is there a future for it?
I'm not sure. I keep saying that they should license some of that technology I was talking about. So like their interface and their this whole concept of suggestions and having it record shows, edit things you might like, and wish lists. Like I feel like they could package that to someone like Apple and say, hey, let's transform Apple TV to make it more like TiVo. And the technology and concept would live on even if the name and company don't. But I don't know what'll happen to them.
That's a really great prediction, and I think that would be very smart for them to do.
Right?
Love starting a show 10 minutes late and then fast forwarding through the commercials. I did that. That was me.
That was the best.
It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Like, that is exactly what I would do. I would purposely delay watching a show. I'd wait 30 minutes if it was an hour show, and then I'd start it. So I had to go through commercials. And that, my friends, is the beginning of removing ads.
Yep. Oh, totally. Absolutely. So one of the things Twitch used to have, I can't remember because I haven't been using it for quite a while. But early on they had a skip to live button.
You're right.
But there was a backdoor you could reprogram it as a 30-second skip button. And so then you could easily skip commercials because most commercials are 30 seconds. So you just hit that like 4 times, see if you're back at your show yet, and be ready to go.
Interesting. I got an Apple TV 2 years ago. I have used my TiVo, I think, twice.
So TiVo tried to get into the sort of set top. I mean, they tried to do the apps and kind of become a thing similar to Apple TV, but it just never. They never got it right to sort of keep that momentum. I do think they're like a BlackBerry, up against the iPhone kind of thing. Like they were great until you saw an iPhone, and then you're like, ooh.
Right. Right. Well, that's interesting. Well, yeah. And Davey said something interesting about knowing what you can do this sort of thing. Are you at all surprised that Twitch doesn't let you rewind to earlier parts of a stream without the clip feature?
Yes and no. I think that Twitch is so focused on being live, that if you had people staggered all over your stream, chat would be shambles.
Yeah, it would.
So I'm not sure. It would really change the interaction.
That makes a lot of sense.
Because I've thought of that too. Like you'll be watching a stream, and you're like, oh shoot, what what did she say? I missed that, and you can't go back.
Right.
But
okay. So now we're gonna go ahead and go to let's talk sports.
All right.
Okay. So you've gave me, and by the way, Brewers isn't a brewery, right? That's the name of a.
Correct.
Okay, cool. So you gave me 3 sports teams.
and thereby I learned how much The Rusty Panda is into sports.
Sports ball. Um, no, I'm
Which is
trying to
cool.
learn sports. I really actually am. My father-in-law is really big into sports, and so I'm
Oh, okay.
trying for his sake to learn about golf and football. So I'm trying.
Well, I can't help you with golf, but I can help you with football.
I actually played. It's funny. I played flag football back in college, and I just basically was like, I know that I need to get the ball. And I know that when we're on defense, I need to make sure you don't get the ball.
That's
And
right.
if you're my captain, you're just going to tell me what direction to run. And because you're my captain, I'm going to run in that direction, even if you're
There you
wrong.
go.
And that's how I played flag football.
Well, there you
And
go.
we
You
did
got the
pretty
basics.
well. Yeah, we did pretty well.
You've
uh,
got the basics.
oh, yeah. You follow some
But
golf?
yeah, I so I follow basically I follow mostly football, baseball, and um, my alma mater. So the Badgers.
Okay.
Um, yeah, which you brought up first.
Mm-hmm.
So what's really interesting is, so I'm from Wisconsin. I've lived here most of my life, um, and I was a somewhat of a Badger fan growing up, but they were always terrible. First of all, and um, I wasn't huge into them. But then I went to college at the UW, and I don't know if there's something they put in the water there or like the cereal they give you in the morning, but it turned me into a huge Badger fan. Like not just like I used to just like watching college basketball, for example, but now I love the Badgers. Like
Right.
even if I used to like one of their competitors, I suddenly didn't like them anymore. And so that's kind of a weird. That was kind of a weird thing when I started um, school there. But yeah, I watch. I like football. Hey, E Room, what's up?
E-room. Hey, welcome, Raiders. Welcome on
Um,
in.
I really like Badger football, uh, basketball, and hockey. Uh, I don't know if you're into hockey at all. That's
I'm
a cool
sort
sport
of into
too.
hockey. I get that the quarters, there's three of them. That makes no sense.
Right, they're
And
period. They're called periods then, not
oh,
quarters.
okay. Okay, because I thought that they were called quarters, and I was like, there's
Right,
three
no,
of them,
there's
and
three
that
of them
doesn't
though.
make any sense. I know some math. But then the New York Rangers is actually the team of choice.
Oh, okay.
Because I grew up in New Jersey, and you'd think the Devils, but my brother
Yeah.
was a Rangers fan.
All right.
There, ergo, I'm a Rangers fan. That's just how it went.
So there's a pretty famous goalie for the Rangers that was a
Lundqvist.
Badgers. Mike Richter.
Oh, Richter. Okay.
Yeah, he was a Badger.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the Badgers have had historically a very strong uh, hockey team. They've won 5 or 6 national championships um, over their course of their history.
Wow.
And they were the only team that was any good for a long time. The basketball team was terrible. The football team, so the football team was so bad. The band invented this thing called the fifth quarter, where uh, they would go down into by the student section and play all these fun songs and goof around and dance, and we'd all have fun because no one wanted to stay for the game because the game was terrible. So they
Right.
to get you to stay for the whole game, you had to stay until the game got over so you could have the fifth quarter fun with them.
That's
Um,
amazing. That's so smart.
yeah. Um, so when my freshman year, uh, like you could buy a whole season worth of football for $15. You know, it was like
Wow.
it was something like $5 a game. You know, it's just
Yeah.
crazy, and and I loved it. I still loved them because of whatever they put in the water. Um, and what's been really fun is like about that time, but the same time I got to school there is when most of the programs sort of started getting better, and now they're much more like they're not winning it all or anything, but they're at least competitive and fun to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta love the team, your home team, right? Like you
Right.
just gotta, no matter what. Hi, Peekaboo Draws, and
Hey,
hi
peekaboo.
everyone from eRoom's chat. My name is the Rusty Panda. This is CDUBGUITAR. We are doing Wiki Wednesday, a show where we get the streamer to give 15 likes and 5 things they don't, and we go down the Wikipedia rabbit hole, going into different things that they enjoy or dislike. And we've talked about cheese curds and mushrooms, and we've talked about Twitch and all sorts of things. So I'm just reading the things.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was even before Paul Christ. Um, oh, Dan was it Dan? Oh, I'm gonna have to look it up myself.
Okay, wait. So it's what are we talking about? Softball, hockey,
See if you can find a list of Badger football coaches.
football. Okay, football. Why is foot? Oh, here we go. Football. Barry Alvarez was hired as head coach under
Yeah, he's the
Alvarez. They
one that
won
kind of
three
he's the one that
championships.
turned it around. Yep.
And then Brett Bielema took
Yeah,
over
Brett
as
Bielema.
uh-huh,
Nobody liked him.
right? And then fullback, Allen Emma, running back, they came close. And then running Melvin Gorvin. Okay, give me names here.
List here we go. List of Wisconsin football head coaches. Don Morton is who.
Oh, okay.
There you go, Davey. Don Morton is who you're thinking of. He drove us into the ground. I mean, we were pretty bad, but he really took the cake. And then when he was fired, they hired Barry Alvarez, and Alvarez completely turned everything around.
Yeah, they the Alvarez won football. Hired they won 3 Big 10 championships and 3 Rose Bowls.
Yes. I went to the first Rose Bowl that they won.
And then they
That was a lot of fun.
defeated the Auburn Tigers 24-10 in the Capital One Bowl.
I drove from Madison to Los Angeles in my cheap car that didn't have cruise control. So that was a good time.
Yeah. Don Morton 627. What does that mean? 6 wins, 27 losses.
Yeah, he's 6 wins and 27 losses in his tenure.
Wow.
So,
even I know that sucks.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
All right, so then we'll move along then to the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, so the Packers are the NFL team in Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually an owner because they're the only publicly owned franchise in the NFL, and I think in all of sports, in all of major league sports anyway. So I actually own a share of the Green Bay Packers. I have no rights, no voting rights. I don't get to make any decisions. I don't get a cool owner's box or anything like that. But technically, I own them, part of them, and they do put on a party for the shareholders every year. I haven't been to one yet. Steamy, you're a shareholder too? Awesome. Have you ever been to one of the shareholder meetings? I've always wanted to go, but I haven't done it yet.
That's so cool. So then, if you're okay, tell me about shares and stocks. Don't you have to be in like categories, like, or does it matter? Like, can the Green Bay Packers be in the same category as like Apple?
Right. So no, it's a little different than that. It's so a few times in their history they've sold shares of the team to the public. And so, like, you can't go buy it right now. I can't trade it to you. I can will it to family members when I die. But it's not like a publicly traded stock where you can, go to NASDAQ or go to Robinhood and put in Packers and buy a share.
Right.
Can only do it when they have the specific sales, and once you buy it, you just sort of have it. You don't sell it.
And so, is it kind of like this? What is it used for? Absolutely nothing kind of thing, or like?
Kind of, yeah, yeah. Like I said, they do a shareholder meeting every year, so you get to if you want, you can go up to the stadium. to get a tour of the stadium, some little perks like that. But for the most part, it's just sort of uh, buying a piece of paper that makes you a shareholder. And usually it's, well, the first one I think was um, because they were literally going to go bankrupt. And so they did this to keep the team solvent.
That makes sense.
And then over time, they've done a couple more to do like stadium enhancements. So instead of, um, or in addition to, like, I don't know if you follow public stadium financing, but whenever a team threatens to leave, they they get hundreds of $1 million of investments from the local governments to stay because people feel like they're the home team, or they justify it by saying, well, they're going to generate money because people come into town, but so they raise taxes or they give them forgivable loans, right? Biggest sham in sports, right? So they demand all this money. Well, so the Packers, instead of doing that, they ask the fans to help. So basically, I'm saying yes, I would like you to stay in Green Bay. I want you to be able to um, afford what you need to be a competitive team, and here's $100 to make it happen.
So what happened with the Rams then?
Yeah, so that's what happened with the Rams. They wanted a new stadium, and the people in St. Louis were like, no, we're not going to give you $1 billion. And so they're like, okay, well then I guess we'll go to Los Angeles, and they're going to give us $1 billion.
That's such bull.
It really is. It's
And they just built them a stadium, didn't they?
yeah. They built a huge stadium for them and the Chargers, because the Chargers were in San Diego and they did the same thing, and it was the same idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, Oakland going to Vegas, the Raiders going to Vegas.
That's crazy.
It's pretty common, and in fact, with the baseball team, the Brewers, um, they just they just got our legislature to give them some more money. So
That's insane. Sports is insane. Sports
it is.
revenue is
That's
insane.
why that's why I try not to think of it too much, because I like it as my escape, and so I don't want to get into all the
Yeah.
dirty laundry. But
That
yeah,
makes
that's
sense.
that's one of the biggest scams, I guess, is public financing of sports stadiums.
Yeah. It's funny because like I think a sports ball is money, right? Money from people who pay for the tickets, money for the stadiums, money. When especially I went to college and I was in the arts, money was going to the football teams, not the
Right.
arts. And
Yeah.
so I have this like thing in the back of my mind where I was like, "Oh my god, that costs so much money." Now, here's the caveat. So does music.
Right. Yes.
So you want to talk about all the stuff that sports brings in, then you also have to talk about all the stuff that Taylor Swift is doing and how much money
Absolutely.
that one woman sold her 6 tickets for an entire wedding venue. She
Right.
she
Yeah.
bought a wedding venue for 6 tickets for Taylor Swift.
That's crazy. But yeah, I mean, and so when I look at sports now, I look at it as entertainment. It
Yeah.
is no different than a Taylor Swift,
Yep.
or going to a movie, or watching your favorite show on TV. Like, those also require money and generate money.
Yep. It's
Um,
an outlet, and that's why I try not, like when you're saying I try not to think about all the money stuff. It's still back there, but then I go ahead and the other angel on the shoulder goes whack. Music's like that
well,
too.
but the thing is with music though is they don't get they don't get the free handouts. It's back to your comment about when you were in the arts and college, the football team is getting all the money.
Right.
Like, the music program doesn't get all the money, even though they may bring in money. They're not given the money the same way.
Right.
So,
Yep.
and I won't even touch college sports uh, financing, because that is just
No, it's
a
crap.
whole nother bag.
Yep.
Uh,
Um. Okay, and then the last one is the Brewers.
Yeah, so the Brewers are the football team in, or the football team, the baseball team in Milwaukee, and they are named after brewers, people who brew beer,
Okay.
because early on in Wisconsin we had a big brewing tradition. We have a lot of German immigrants um, who, when they came here, they wanted to make beer, and so Milwaukee was actually known for its beers for quite a while early on in its history. And so when they uh, wanted to bring a uh, major league franchise there, they decided to give them the nickname the Brewers. Um, well, they play
Interesting.
football poorly, Stuart, but they also play baseball not that great either. Now they haven't been bad the last few years. So I've always been into them. Um, it's a little different than the Packers. It's not certainly not as it was not as ingrained with the Packers. My mom was a huge football fan and a huge Packer fan, and so that really is what got me into the Packers and football in general.
Hmm.
Um, but with baseball, it was a little different. I got mostly into baseball because of my neighbors. They were from Chicago, and so they were huge Chicago Cubs fans. And they got me into the sport of baseball and how that all works.
Hmm.
But then, uh, being from Wisconsin, um, the few times I got to go to baseball games, it was in Milwaukee at the Brewers, so I naturally just sort of became a Brewer fan. I have a lot of great memories. For a while, my uncle used to, for I want to say like 4 or 5 years in a row, we would go to Six Flags Great America, which is in northern Illinois, and then like spend the night, go there, spend a night in a hotel, go there a second day, and then drive to Milwaukee to go to a Brewer game. And so I have just amazing memories of doing that, and so that's what really where that fandom comes from.
Aw. So, fun fact, I didn't know that they had different uniforms in baseball.
Oh yeah, they used. I mean, back in the day, they used to just have a home and away, right?
Right.
But they've really gotten into this whole alternates thing. So the one all the way to the right there that says, well, you can't really see it, but it says Brew Crew.
Hmm.
Um, those just came out a couple years ago. They're like a special city uniform that's supposed to be more about the city
Okay.
that their team is in and less about the actual maybe the team itself. Um, and so people have loved those. Like they've been really, yeah, that it's a marketing ploy, but they've been really successful with those. And I like them. I even have a hat
Oh,
from
nice.
from that collection. Um, and
Yeah.
the other interesting thing about the Brewers compared to the Packers is the Brewers are young. They're from 1970. Like they just came about as far as sports go. But the Packers are one of the original NFL teams. They're from 1919, so they're over 100 years old at this point.
Wow.
So I have sort of both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. So they said that this is one of five teams to never win the World Series.
That is correct. We have never won. We've been in one, and we lost it to the Cardinals from St. Louis, which is why I don't like St. Louis Cardinals.
No, I have no allegiance. I lived in St. Louis for a while. I live in Kansas City now.
Yeah,
If I think again, it all comes back to my in-laws. My in-laws love the Cardinals and they go for Kansas City, the Chiefs. So
right,
that's where they lie. And so I'm like, well, I guess that's where my and then I like the Rangers because my brother likes the Rangers. Like I guess
right.
that's just where it
That's
all
just how it
works.
goes sometimes, right? Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I know, Davey. So they used to play at a different stadium up until the 50s. I think it's called City Stadium. And then Lambeau Field opened in the 50s, which was really when the Packers came into their first really strong, or well, not really their first, but their second and modern era first run of strong teams.
Sorry, I was reading. It had been American League. Briefly, when the original Milwaukee Brewers became an American League Charter (AL),
Yep,
okay, team in 1901 before moving to St. Louis to become the Browns the following
correct.
season.
Yes.
Interesting. Interesting. Things
Yeah,
I
and
learn.
yeah, the like Davey said, the history of baseball in Milwaukee is complicated because they also were the Braves for a while, which are now in Atlanta.
Right. Huh. Hall of
Yes,
Famers.
yes, Steamy. So all that time I was telling you, all those times I went with my uncle, I was always at County Stadium, and we would get bleacher seats. They were like, I don't know, $1 or something ridiculous. I swear to God. And just sit in the bleachers way way back. Um, we you could watch the pitchers warm up in the bullpen, and yeah, just had a ton of fun.
Interesting.
And the teams were always terrible then, so like there wasn't a big crowd, it wasn't a big draw.
Yeah, what is it? Seat deep in the cheap seats or something along
Mm-hmm.
those lines, but you still have fun. You're still at a baseball game.
Exactly.
The only thing that professional thing I've ever been to was a Cardinals game. I don't know you hate the
Oh,
Cardinals,
okay.
but it's still baseball. I've
Yeah.
never been to any major league anything because in New Jersey it's so expensive.
You're right.
Like you want to
Yeah.
go to a Rangers, a Devils, a Islanders, a what's the other one? Um,
Well, the basketball teams all play in New York now, right? Like the Nets.
yeah, New Jersey only has one team and it's the Devils.
Yeah. Yankees, Mets. Yeah.
Yeah,
There you go,
the
Davey.
Yankees and the Mets, and then the Jets and the Giants,
Yep.
and then Rutgers. Yeah, Rutgers, right? Rutgers is one of the few teams college football that came out of New Jersey because they were a part of the original 12, right?
That's right. And now they're part of the Big Ten.
Ah, college football education for the win. I went to my major is in college student personnel administration,
Oh.
which is like your academic advisors, your college counselors. And one of the things we had to learn was like the history of college football. And I tuned out, but I remember that
We
Rutgers
remember
was
that.
in there. I remember Rutgers was in there. So
There you go.
yes.
So one other cool thing I do want to make sure I point out, especially since you're not a sports ball person.
Mm-hmm.
So the logo there, the glove,
Yeah.
it's actually an M and a B.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah. So that's always been a cool thing with the logo.
Yeah.
And for a while they got rid of that and they tried some new fancy logo, but everyone complained.
Yeah. Well, you know what's going on right now in Kansas City with the Chiefs, so.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yes.
Yes. um, okay. So I'm gonna switch over now.
Okay.
And I want to talk about the Tour de France.
Ah, yes, Le Tour.
The Tour de France. The Tour de France.
Oui.
All right. So tell me why this made your list.
So, when I was a young warthog, that's how you start all these stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get cable until like maybe like 1989, 90, somewhere in there, right? And one of the things I found was during the summer, late at night, ESPN would show Tour de France, like recaps, or like really it was mostly the whole stage, that day's stage. Exactly, Phil Liggett. And I just kind of fell in love with it. I thought it was really interesting, the strategy involved, the ability to ride a bike so many miles for 3 weeks just kind of blew my mind. And so I just kind of started getting into it. And it was, um, you know, at that point, there's no internet. So it was hard to find information, but I had these ESPN every year I'd find the ESPN broadcast and I'd check it out. And over time, I just became a fan of it and some of the personalities, and uh, I just really enjoy watching it. And it's beautiful too. Like you get to see so much cool French countryside and the old castles and all these little towns that have this huge old, they'll have a huge old church in the middle in the town square. And um, because the stages will take 3 to 4 hours a day,
Hmm.
um, the production, a lot of the production is showing the countryside and showing the sights, and so you just get to see so much of it. And um, it's always been something that I thought was really cool.
Yeah, for sure. Now, two questions come to my mind.
Sure.
They're just such my mind things. So, what, okay, now I would assume that every player is being tracked.
Yes.
What stopped before they were being tracked from getting into a car,
Right.
going, and then stopping, and then continuing the race?
Um, well, I do think part of it was the honor system, and I don't know if the tour ever had that, but I think there have been some controversies over the years in professional uh, biking. Um, but yeah, there would be, you'd have spotters every, so you'd have like kind of like you do now if you've ever gone to like a 5K race or a fun run kind of thing where you just have people that are kind of watching to help you make sure you navigate the course correctly and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So they had people like that. They had it was a it's a big deal. It's a very big deal. It's like the Super Bowl in France. So
Right.
um,
How many people compete? Do you know?
it was oh gosh, that's a great question.
I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to look. Um,
I want to say it's around 130. Um, but yeah, nowadays everyone has GPS on their bike, and
yeah.
everyone's all their like
Wow.
all the telemetry from the bike they get, and you can see like not only how fast they're going, but what their pedal cadence is, how many watts they're generating, all that kind of stuff.
There. What was I gonna say? Oh, it's 120 years old. The race.
Yes, yeah, it's very old,
That's insane.
which is another thing I like about it. It has some history. Um, yeah, what I was gonna say, it was such a prestigious event in France that they had also have a lot of press covering it. So, you know, the if a newspaper reporter sees you getting into a car and driving 5 miles and then getting back on your
Oh,
bike,
it's a
he's probably going
perfect
to say
story.
something,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So there was definitely different safeguards, but yeah, I'm sure it happened.
I'm looking at the winners, and there's only one U.S. winner, and that's Greg
Yeah,
LeMond.
well, and so that's because the other U.S. winner is
Lance?
uh, Lance Armstrong.
Right, but they
And
took his
so
medal
they
away?
took all his medals away because of, yeah. So see all those where it says no winner?
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Um,
So he won 5 consecutive,
yeah. Um,
and they took
but
them away now, or did they take them away at the time, or?
no, after the fact. They weren't able to catch him during. There was a lot of suspicion that he was doping, but no one could find it. And until later on when people started confessing.
Oh my
So once
gosh.
they proved it, they stripped him of all his titles.
Wow. That's awful. The fact that he did that, not that he got
Yeah.
stripped
Oh,
of the
I agree.
titles. Yeah.
I agree. Um, it's such a shame because, especially, he had built up so much goodwill with his Live Strong stuff and his
Mm-hmm.
story about coming back from cancer, and it's just a shame.
Yeah. A recent controversy in cycling was a power assist in the bike.
Yeah. So, because electronics are getting so small now and e-bikes are such a thing, they have to inspect the bikes to make sure you don't have a little motor in there.
Wow. All the things that technology can completely ruin. Am I right?
Yep. Well, and like they also like have very strict requirements about how heavy your bike has to be because they can make them so light now, and yeah,
Interesting.
making it a level playing field is not easy.
Okay. So you started to like it because of it was on the TV. It
Yeah,
was
it was on
late
TV
night.
and I learned more about it, and I really liked the concept of like getting into such great shape that you could do this for 3 weeks
Right.
and ride basically a tour all around France. I mean, it's called the Tour de France.
Right.
Um, and so I, I never like became obsessed with it, but I always tried to seek it out.
Yeah.
And then over time, especially the one positive thing about Armstrong is he raised the popularity of it, which made it much more accessible to watch on television.
Yeah, that's true.
I didn't have to stay up till 3 in the morning to watch a rerun of the day before. Um, I could instead get up at 5 in the morning to watch the beginning of the one that's happening that day.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. Well, that's really cool. I would never think to be interested in it until you said the scenery that you're watching as you're
Oh my
watching
gosh,
them,
it's amazing.
and then the
And then
competition in itself.
the competition is, and then the announcers. So Steamy mentioned Phil Liggett, but there were basically have been up until what 3 or 4 years ago when he passed away. There were basically two people who have done all of the broadcasts that I've watched of the Tour de France, like the entire time I've been watching.
Okay, let's see. Do you know the names?
Well, one of them's Phil Liggett, and
Okay.
the other one is Paul Sherwin.
Okay. Yeah, it said broadcasting, so I was going to see if
Yeah, I don't know if they'd be in here.
no.
Yeah.
Stupid mouse. Okay. So then let's talk about okay. So I needed to know why this was on your list too. These additions just made me die. Why is Microsoft Exchange
Okay.
on your freaking list?
All right. So the reason it is because it's basically paid my paycheck for the
Okay.
last 25 years.
Okay.
Um, so I went to school for computer science, but especially in that time in the 90s, it was really about programming.
Mhm.
So while I was there, I also got a job doing sort of help desk support
Mhm.
for one of the graduate programs there. And at the time, every little department was its own island. So you had to do everything. And email was just becoming big. And so I started supporting their email on Microsoft Exchange Server. And basically, I haven't stopped supporting people's email since. So,
Wow.
yeah, sometimes when people ask me what I do, I like to say I read your email. But
That's great. So initial release was 1996.
yep. And that's
I
when
was 5.
well, we won't talk about how old I was.
Sometimes I like to throw it in there, just only
Yeah,
because you guys are talking about living in the AD era. I figured I would
right.
just out myself right there.
Well, at least you weren't born before 2000.
Yep,
So,
or after
um,
2000.
or after 2000.
Yeah.
Um, so, well, so when you put me on the spot there, like, hey, I need 3 more likes. I was like, well, it's literally part of the reason I have everything I have. So
Yeah,
I guess I should like it.
and not only that, it's an interesting topic. Like that
It is.
that was a really cool thing to put on your list.
It is because so the fundamentals of email haven't really changed since 1996. Um, some of the details have, but a lot of the a lot of the concepts from an end user perspective are still the same. I mean, you're still just typing an email and sending it to someone.
Right.
Um, but the back end technology that I've got to work with has changed immensely.
Right.
Um,
That
the
makes
first
sense.
email server I worked on, I used to log in and just it would be my workstation too.
Okay.
But now, yes, Davey, uh, we are on Azure. But now your email is not even in the company hardware; it's in the cloud.
Right.
So, it's just come a long way. But it's been a mainstay of my IT career, and so I figured I'd give it a shout out.
No, good for you. That's awesome. I wanted to end because we got about 10 minutes and I figured this will
Sure.
take up a little bit. I wanted to end on looping.
Yeah. So looping is really interesting to me. I've always like I knew about it obviously before um, coming onto Twitch, but early on I was exposed to quite a few musicians who were using loopers, like Tyler Levs, um, Sashi Boom. Trying
Mm-hmm.
to think of some of the other ones, um, and I thought that was really cool. So I decided to get a small looper and just see what it was like. And I've been blessed with um, a pretty good internal clock when it comes to music.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think because of that, I kind of picked it up pretty quickly. And I love what you can do with looping because it's an easy way for me to make a song sound more, give it more depth.
Right.
I can add percussion just by tapping on my guitar. I can add uh, little musical flares or riffs that I can't either I'm not good enough or you literally can't play them while you're playing the main
Right.
chords of a song. Um, I can add harmonies. I can add like different songs that have maybe like a spoken part or like overlapping. A lot of songs will have like some overlapping chorus parts at the end, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love being able to do that. It's so much fun.
How many, when you, it's on your feet, right? Or is it in
Yeah,
front
I
of you?
do. Yep, I have a foot pedal one. Yep.
So, with that, how many pedals do you have?
So the one I have right now only has two pedals, um, and I can do, and with it I can do two loops, but they have to be the same, exact same length. So the first loop you do sets the length of the what the loop's going to be.
Right.
But then with the two pedals, I can turn um, one on and leave one off. So like if I'm doing a song, what's a good one? Uh, Clocks by Coldplay.
Mm-hmm.
90% of that song is the same chords, but there's a small bridge where the chord progression changes.
Mm-hmm.
So what I can do is with that song, I'll set up the main chords and the percussion on two separate loops. And for most of the song, I let that all play. And then when the bridge comes, I turn that off and then I play the bridge chords live with my guitar and then start the loops back up.
That's
Um,
crazy. Do you
yeah,
use Ableton or any devices like that?
I don't. I use a Boss RC30,
Okay.
the looper I use.
Yep. RC.
Oh
Yep.
yeah, it's in the list there.
Yep.
Um, and then I have so that allows two inputs. So I have my guitar plugged in, and then I have a second microphone that you can't see over here
Okay.
that I do the vocals with. I'm thinking about bringing either. Well, I do one thing I want to do probably in 24 is expand my looping. And I haven't decided yet if I want to do more of a software thing like an Ableton or get a more sophisticated pedal um,
Why not
and
both?
do or a combo. But one of the things I want to be able to do is MIDI drums. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know how that works or not, but basically you can have a MIDI controller that will usually they're like a keyboard, like a piano keyboard,
Mm-hmm.
and you can change it so that key, one of the keys is like a cymbal, and one is a kick drum, one's a snare drum, and then you can set up a loop using your hands playing that. A lot of Twitch musicians do that, and so I want to incorporate that into my setup. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to do that.
Okay, yeah, the keyboard that I use when I do my music streams is hooked up to MIDI because
Is it?
it's a 60, how many keys? 60 something keys. I'm not
Uh huh.
very good with it. 64 keys, whatever it is. Not 81. And it's also MIDI, so I have it where it connects USB to my computer,
Okay.
and then I'm able to then hook it up into Ableton and then put it on a MIDI line and
Yeah.
then use either now the percussion itself when you use Ableton does not come from the piano so much yet. You have to put in drum kit
Right. You have to get a VST.
and then you can go ahead and use it as drums. It's not
Yep.
just like turning the piano on and use the drum kit, which
Right.
I would prefer.
Right. Right.
It'd
Yeah.
be so much easier
Right.
if I
Well,
could
and
do
so
it
you
from the
can.
piano.
Well, and that's another thing. Like, oh shoot, I can't think of his name right now. There's a streamer that uses he does he has a drum machine,
Oh, cool.
and that's plugged into his looper. So that's always also kind of cool because then you just have the little box with like the pads on it,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can that's the sound. It's not even MIDI. It's actually
The
it's
sound.
generating the sound, however that works electronically. Um,
Interesting.
so yeah, I do want to figure that out. I just haven't figured out the best way to do it with my setup because right now I have a 8-channel mixer that plugs into my streaming PC through USB, and so everything plugs into my mixer almost like if you were doing a live show.
Right.
So I don't use any software other than OBS. Um, but to get some of that more, some of those more functionality, I might have to introduce like an Ableton or something similar.
Ableton does payment plans. I'm on one.
Good to know.
I'm on one
Yeah.
because Ableton is expensive.
Oh, I know, right? Well, and I've been pretty blessed too over the couple years I've been doing Twitch. My community's helped me raise money for different things. Like they actually bought the guitar I use
Oh,
um,
wow.
for me. Was was it 2 Christmases ago? Yeah,
That's so
everyone.
sweet.
I mean, I did it over a course of a few months, but I had a specific fundraising target, and they helped me get to it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, Davey, we'll be coming your way. So just pretend you're surprised.
See you in a few, Davey. I mean, I don't know when I'll see you, Davey.
Yeah, we'll never know when to see you. I don't know what's out there, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, so the other thing about the looping is it's a it's a piece of musical ability or a talent, I guess, whatever you want to call it, where I actually feel um, most accomplished about. I don't know how to phrase it. Like, I never feel like I'm a very good guitar player. I think I have a fairly good voice, but I don't think I have a great voice. Um, but I feel like I'm a good looper. Like I feel like I when I make loops, I do a good job. Um, so that brings me joy and happiness. And um, one thing I've found, especially, is like watching, like I watched Austin City Limits where Ed Sheeran played, and he did a bunch of looping, and I'm like, I could do that. Like I can't do some of this other stuff he can do as well, but I could
Right.
do what he's doing with the looping, and so that just makes me feel good. That makes me happy.
Yeah. Yeah. My happy is writing
Okay.
and then like maybe making it into something, but like my happy is being able to just like write out the poems or the songs or whatever, and
Yeah.
then like fingers crossed I could make it into something on Ableton, because I've made a few songs. I made one for my niece and my nephew, which was a lot of fun, and I'm just getting the concept of Ableton. But when that song is done and created and I wrote it and everything like that,
Right.
oh my god, that feeling is just, you feel good. Like you feel like you've actually you have talent. I don't
Right?
feel like
Yeah,
I have
exactly. You feel
talent.
like yeah, I feel like I'm a musician, right?
Right,
Well, that's
right.
like I've been working with Wonder, and I sent her the vocals for the song, and um she she created a well, she calls it rough, but I think it sounds great, but like a full-blown version of my song, right? Because it's just me and a guitar singing. Um and so she sent me that, and I recorded vocals to it, and she put it all together and sent it back to me, and I'm like, holy shit, I sound like a musician.
Yay.
Like, that feels so cool. It's very rewarding.
It really
And I get
is.
that. So I get that feeling when I loop, because it is something like I can go, like the show we're going to on Saturday. We're going to see a couple of friends of my brother who they have a national touring act, Humphreys McGee. I don't know if you've heard of them, but
Mm-mm.
um, they're so technically amazing at guitar. Like, I could watch them play for hours, and I know, not because of necessarily my talent, but at this point in my life, I'm never going to be able to put in the hours it takes to get that good.
My god, you and me are the same person.
And so I like to watch them, but at the same time, I feel like, okay, this looping thing, like I kind of get it. Like I can be as good as some other people, and it makes me happy.
Good, it should. Yeah, you and I are the same person. Because that's all the same feelings that I
Yeah,
have towards it. Where I'm like, I know I'm not great at guitar, I could do chords, and I know I'm not great
right.
at piano, I could do chords. But like when I do my keyboard streams, I'm just doing chords with my left hand and singing along to it. I'm not doing anything technical at all. But even working in Ableton, I'm making the notes, and then I could literally write the music with a
Yeah,
pencil, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is so much easier."
right. It's like, oh, this is so cool.
Right. Yeah, you could, it's like designing your music. It's really
Yeah.
it's sweet. All right, it is 2 hours on the money.
All right.
That's the hard stop time. But
Well,
I wanted to know if there was anything else that was on your list that you definitely wanted to talk about, or it's okay if we go over time with it, because I always want to ask if there's anything that we didn't talk about that you're like, no, we must talk about this. Absolutely.
um, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think, like I definitely had some good stories for some of the other ones, but I think we had a pretty good list.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think, like I said, we talk about a lot of things and then other things don't get talked about. And you know what? That means that next year, if you want to come on, we could do it again.
I would love to. Thank you so much for having me. This has been a lot of fun. I'm super happy that we got to hang out at TwitchCon, and I got to meet you and everybody that was at that little party Davey threw together. So
Yeah, and it's been a pleasure to talk to you. I had a lot of fun tonight.
yeah,
You
me
are
too.
very easy to talk to, and I appreciate that. You are a good interviewee.
Thanks.
So we're gonna throw it over to Davey. Um, do. Where are Davey? Why is, I know Davey, is he not on yet? He should be on.
Let me see. Did he not go live yet?
Yeah,
Thanks,
thanks,
Jack. I
Infazar.
appreciate it, man. I have not seen an Infozar stream in way too long.
Oh yeah.
My
What's
job, I used to be able to catch his uh, afternoon show that he does on Thursdays, but my job has gotten a little busy, so it hasn't worked out.
Yeah. Yeah, Saturday nights are the ones that are usually the easiest, but um not for everybody. Especially if you're going to a really sweet, awesome gig the week this
Yes.
weekend.
Yeah, this weekend I will not be taking part for sure.
Let me search Davey real
I don't
quick.
see him on my list. Maybe he's not live yet.
Because he did golf with your friends. Oh, it says live. He's on his opening screen. Perfect. That's all.
Okay.
That's all I needed.
Probably just hasn't shown up for me yet.
I had to literally go to his page. He's been on
Yeah,
for 2 minutes.
I've been noticing that. Oh, there. Yep. He literally just showed up on mine.
All right, so we're going to put in the raid. And this is the raid call, which is very basic because I had to redo my mix it up. And guys, thank you so much for hanging out. We're going to send it on over to Davey's eating a sandwich. He is amazing. He's a great friend of the community. He's who's introduced CW and I together. So definitely thank you so much for everyone who came out. And let's go ahead and raid Davey. Here we go.
Bye, everyone.